Did you know that drinking water the wrong way could be silently weakening your body, even if you think you're doing it right? Most people have no idea, but the way we drink water can have deep and lasting effects on our health, especially as we age. It's not just about how much water we drink, but how and when we do it. Medical science has started to uncover something most older adults don't realize. There are ways to hydrate that support digestion, protect the kidneys, and revitalize circulation, and others that, out of habit or routine, slowly wear the body down without us even noticing. This video has a very clear purpose: to share with you simple habits backed by medical studies and clinical observations that can truly make a difference in your well-being. You don't need to buy expensive supplements or follow complicated diets. What you're about to hear is about small changes that are already within your reach. One of them, you'll see, is so simple, you'll wonder how you never thought of it before. Let me tell you, for example, about Walter, a 78-year-old man who came to the clinic with chronic fatigue, frequent aches, and a constant feeling of bloating. Nothing seemed serious, nothing seemed urgent, but everything was connected. What changed his life wasn't a new medication or surgery. It was a daily, simple practice that transformed the way he drank water. 3 months later, Walter wasn't just walking with more energy. He was sleeping better, thinking more clearly, and, most importantly, he felt like his body was finally working with him, not against him. This video doesn't promise miracles. What it promises is to walk with you, sharing valuable, relatable information based on real experiences and trustworthy evidence. Together, we'll explore those keys no one ever taught us, but that can help us live this stage of life with more dignity, vitality, and clarity. Are you ready to discover what few people know about water? Then let's begin. Because the first key might already be in your kitchen. The first thing you need to know is that drinking water too quickly, in large amounts and while standing, may be doing more harm than good. This habit, which seems harmless, has become so normalized that almost no one questions it. But behind this everyday action lie consequences that range from abdominal bloating and kidney strain to blood pressure imbalances and reduced absorption of essential nutrients during digestion. Over the years, working with older adults, I've noticed a quiet pattern: those who drink water mindfully, in small sips while seated and with pauses, not only report better digestion and less bloating, but also a general sense of greater energy and balance. At first, it seems like a minor detail, but over time, that change resets the body's entire rhythm. And most importantly, it restores your relationship with yourself. Because it's not just about staying hydrated, it's about how you give yourself that moment. Drinking in a rush, as if your body were just a machine to be filled, is a form of disconnection. Drinking with awareness, on the other hand, can be the beginning of transformation. This problem doesn't stem from ignorance or lack of willpower. It's the result of decades of being told that the important thing was to drink 2 liters of water a day, without any mention of how or when. No one ever explained that the body doesn't just need water, it needs to receive it gently, gradually, and consistently. When an older person gulps down large amounts at once, what often happens is the kidneys get overloaded, the digestive process is disrupted, and paradoxically, much of that water is lost before it can do its job. It's important to understand that this isn't a judgment or a criticism. It's an invitation to look at something we all do every day with fresh eyes. Because within that simple act lies a hidden doorway. The doorway to a body that's more present, less tense, better nourished, and more ready to support us in this stage of life. Stick around, because what's coming next will reveal the first practical change you can make today. It doesn't require strength or extreme discipline, it just requires presence. And that presence can change everything. The The second of these life-changing habits has to do with something many of us have forgotten over the years: drinking warm water upon waking before anything else. It might seem trivial. What difference could there really be between cold, warm, or room temperature water? But the truth is, this simple yet powerful practice has been documented in long-lived cultures and is now being confirmed by recent studies highlighting its effects on digestion, circulation, and the body's detox process. During the night, the body enters a state of repair. When we wake up, the digestive system is still at rest. If the first thing it receives is a shock of cold water, that system contracts and is thrown off balance. But if it receives a sip of warm water, the body perceives it as a signal of care. The organs relax, the metabolism is gently activated, and the intestines begin to move in a natural rhythm, helping flush out the toxins accumulated during sleep. Japan's National Institute of Geriatrics conducted a study showing that older adults who adopted this habit each morning experienced significant improvements in bowel movement regularity, fewer episodes of abdominal discomfort, and an increased sense of energy throughout the day. It wasn't a medication. It wasn't a special diet. It was simply warm water, first thing in the morning, before anything else. I met Teresa, a 76-year-old woman who had spent decades caring for her sick parents. When she found herself alone, she began to feel her body faltering. Constipation, fatigue, lack of appetite. She didn't want drastic changes. She just wanted to feel a little better. One day, a friend told her about this simple ritual. Teresa embraced it without much expectation. A small glass every morning before saying hello to the world. Today, 3 months later, her face has a different glow. She says it's not just about feeling lighter. She says that warm water feels like a gentle caress she gives herself every morning, a sign of respect for the body that has carried her all these years. This isn't about following rules. It's about reconnecting with an inner rhythm that modern life has made us forget. Taking that moment, calmly, is more than just a habit. It's a conscious choice to start the day in tune with yourself. And now, we're going to go even deeper, because it's not enough to change the how and the when. We also need to examine the why. What lies behind our relationship with water? What wounds, what ideas, what beliefs? And that's exactly what we're going to explore next. The third habit that can change everything has less to do with the body and more to do with what we believe about it. Many older adults, even those who are highly health conscious, unknowingly carry around beliefs that deeply limit their relationship with hydration. And we're not just talking about medical myths, but emotional, cultural ideas that have been accepted as truths, never questioned. The first of these beliefs says, "If I'm not thirsty, I don't need water." This phrase, repeated like a mantra, has led thousands of older adults to live in a state of chronic dehydration without even realizing it. The truth is, our thirst reflex becomes less sensitive with age. The body still needs water, it's just lost its ability to clearly ask for it. Believing that there's no need to drink if you're not thirsty is like waiting for a plant to wilt before watering it. The restorative truth is this: you deserve to care for your body before it cries out for help. It's not overcautious prevention, it's proactive love. Another belief says, drinking water at night is dangerous. This idea has led many to restrict their evening hydration out of fear of waking up to go to the bathroom. And while it's true that the bladder becomes more sensitive with age, the solution isn't to avoid water, it's to better distribute it throughout the day. Denying yourself a glass of water in the evening out of fear also denies you the chance at deeper sleep, easier digestion, and softer skin. The truth is, you can adjust the timing and amount, but never give up your right to hydrate, even at night. A third deeply ingrained belief, especially among older men, is this: Water doesn't give me strength. I need something else. Many grew up thinking vitality came from coffee, energy drinks, or alcohol. But what was never said is that water is the foundation of every vital function. Without it, muscles lose tone, the mind grows sluggish, and organs have to work harder. Drinking water isn't a weak or feminine act. It's a declaration of care, of awareness, of quiet strength. True power begins with the essential. Each of these beliefs, as entrenched as they are misguided, has drained energy, distorted body awareness, and disrupted natural processes that could have remained in balance. But today, by dismantling them, something new opens up. The possibility of living this stage of life with more freedom and connection. What comes next is not advice or a reminder. It's a practical, intimate, and transformative invitation. Because now it's no longer about knowing what to do. It's about bringing it into the body, into your routine, into your soul. Together, let's explore that first ritual that can change the tone of your days. The fourth step on this journey doesn't come in the form of a recipe, and it doesn't sound like a set of instructions. It's more like a quiet, everyday ritual, so simple and subtle that many have overlooked it their entire lives. Drinking your first glass of water in silence, seated, with one hand resting on your abdomen. It might seem strange. It might feel pointless. But what happens in those moments goes far beyond hydration. It's a way to awaken the body with presence, to say, I'm here, I hear you. We're in this together. When you sit down, your body steps out of autopilot. Your spine aligns, your stomach is no longer compressed, and your internal organs have the space to receive without tension. Placing your hand on your abdomen doesn't activate any particular muscle, but it does awaken awareness. Your mind stops racing ahead, and if only for a few seconds, settles into the present. And by drinking in silence, without the radio, the phone, or conversation, you allow something even deeper to surface, a sense of respect for the body that has carried you through so many battles. I've seen this work time and time again, in day centers, where older women, after years of caring for everyone but themselves, find in this small act a way back to themselves. In men who were once strong and active, but now recognize they need to start caring for themselves in a new way, with gentleness. This isn't about changing your life overnight. It's about starting the day with a gesture that speaks volumes. A glass of water in silence, seated with your hand on your belly, is a way of saying, I haven't given up on myself. It's a ritual that requires no time, no money, no effort. But it does require a choice, the choice to treat yourself with kindness. Try it once, just once, and see how it feels, not in your mind, but in your body. Notice how a different kind of calm settles in, how your clarity sharpens, how your connection to yourself deepens. What comes next takes us to another place, because once you start taking care of yourself, resistance can show up. Fears, real obstacles, and I'll be with you there too, because the path isn't linear, but it's yours, and it's worth walking. We've reached the fifth point on this journey, and here we come across a truth often hidden in the folds of routine. Not all obstacles are on the outside. Some live deep within. Because when an older person truly begins to care for themselves, not out of obligation, but from a place of genuine desire, they often encounter a silent enemy, doubt. Doubt about whether it's worth starting something new at this stage in life. Doubt about whether the body will still respond. Doubt about whether something as small as the way they drink water could really make a difference. And that doubt is normal. We've spent decades hearing that aging is about enduring, not transforming, that what deteriorated can't be restored, that what hurts must simply be endured. But that's not entirely true. The reality is, Many older adults have improved their digestion, sleep, and mental clarity just by changing their relationship with water. And they didn't do it by following advice. They did it by daring to trust. I think of Don Ernesto, who at 83, skeptical but open, agreed to try what his granddaughter suggested: to drink water each morning as if it were medicine, not just a habit. He did it one day, then another. And within a month, without expecting it, he realized he was sleeping better. His stomach no longer betrayed him every afternoon. But the most powerful shift wasn't physical. It was the realization that change was still possible, that it wasn't too late, that he still had room to feel good. But resistance isn't always logical. Sometimes it's emotional. It comes from sadness, from exhaustion, from loneliness, from having felt too often that what you do doesn't matter. That's why this isn't a technical hurdle. It's a loving acknowledgement. If it's hard for you to begin, you're not failing, you're feeling. And that too is part of the journey. So when you reach that moment, and we all do, remember this: it's not about doing it perfectly. It's about returning again and again to the one small gesture you can do today, even if it's tiny, even if it feels insignificant. Because that gesture, done with care, is what opens the door to real change. And there's still one more thing, something that can't be taught or imposed, only invited. A final point that isn't physical or technical, but internal. A gesture that, when it arises, transforms everything from within. And that's where we're headed next. And now we arrive at the sixth point. This one can't be seen or touched, but it can be felt. It's a quiet choice, a thought many have never spoken to themselves. My body deserves patience. Think about it for a moment. How many times in your life have you drunk a glass of water without pausing, even for a second, to be grateful? Grateful that the glass was there, that your body still receives it, still knows how to process it, distribute it, transform it into energy, into life. Drinking water has become so automatic that we've lost the ability to turn it into an offering, a moment of pause, a sign of respect. And while that may sound poetic, it has a real biological foundation. Studies in the field of mind-body medicine have shown that the emotional tone we bring to our habits directly affects how our body responds to them. It's not the same to gulp down a glass of water while rushing, frowning, and mentally elsewhere as it is to drink calmly, peacefully, recognizing the moment as an act of self-care. In Okinawa, one of the regions with the highest number of healthy centenarians, elders often begin their day with a small bowl of warm water. They drink in silence by a window without hurry, not because it's medically required, but because they've learned that how you do something matters as much as what you do. That pause isn't a luxury. It's a way to tune into their bodies, to remember they are still here, still alive, still capable. And that's what I invite you to embrace today. Not a new technique, but a new intention. The next time you pour yourself a glass of water, do it slowly. Watch the liquid move. Feel the weight in your hands. Bring the glass to your lips with gentleness. And as you swallow, think of this. Your body is performing a silent miracle. You don't need to say it out loud. It's enough to feel it, to acknowledge it, to be thankful for it. That small shift in awareness changes how your body receives what you give it. Because when there is patience, the nervous system calms, the stomach prepares more gently, blood flows with greater ease. The invisible begins to act, and the ordinary becomes sacred. Just one final step remains. Not another piece of advice, but an intimate call, a deep, personal invitation, a gesture that isn't taught, but chosen. The seventh key in this journey isn't a piece of advice, a guideline, or even a concrete practice. It's an inner decision, one that once made transforms how you inhabit your body, to choose to see water as a symbol of life, not just a physiological need. It might sound odd, maybe too simple, but there is something deeply restorative about changing your perspective. Because when you stop seeing water merely as something you have to drink and start seeing it as a reminder that life is still flowing within you, everything begins to realign. Your hands tremble less, anxiety softens, your mind clears. Not because water does it all, but because you are choosing to live with greater presence. At Stanford University, a study found that older adults who practice daily gratitude, even something as simple as giving thanks for a glass of water, show lower cortisol levels and better cardiovascular function. This isn't about forced spirituality or artificial rituals. It's about something we all can do. Take a moment each day to honor what still works, what still supports us, what still has the potential to grow stronger. Don Luis, 84, once told me, "I didn't know a simple glass of water could be my daily prayer." And he didn't mean that in a traditional religious sense, but from lived experience. Since losing his wife, he begins each morning at the kitchen window. Before his first sip, he closes his eyes. He gives thanks for being there, and he makes himself a quiet promise to care for what remains because it's still worth it. That's what this final point wants to offer you, the chance to turn an automatic act into a conscious choice, not to change the world, not to turn back time, but to remember every day that you are alive. And being alive is reason enough to treat yourself with respect. The practice is simple. The next time you pour yourself a glass of water, treat it as if it were the first. And as you drink it, don't focus on what's missing. Focus on what is, on what flows, on what still responds. And from that place, begin your day. With this final step, we're not closing a cycle, we're opening a new one where you decide how to move forward, but no longer from habit or neglect, from awareness, from presence. Now let's move to the closing, because everything we've experienced here deserves to be integrated with tenderness and strength. I'm right here with you. What we've just walked through wasn't just a series of tips, it was an act of remembrance, a way of looking again at what's essential, at what has always been within our reach, yet so often goes unseen. Drinking water, yes, but not just any way. Drinking water with awareness, with respect, with rhythm, with gratitude. Because in every glass, if we allow it, there is an opportunity for reconnection with our body, our story, and the deep desire to keep feeling alive. You don't need to apply everything at once or do it perfectly. It's enough to choose just one gesture, the one that touched you the most. Maybe it's that glass of warm water in the morning. Maybe it's sitting in silence before you drink. Maybe it's simply the thought, my body deserves patience. That first step, as small as it may seem, is like a seed. And if you repeat it with tenderness, something inside you will begin to shift, not to turn you into someone else, but to bring you more fully back to yourself. Remember, it's not too late. Your body still responds. Your organs, your cells, your energy. They're waiting for signs of care, not perfection. And you have the right to feel better, at your pace, on your terms, with who you are and what you have today. If something from this journey stayed with you, if anything I said resonated, write it in the comments as a short, simple, powerful phrase. One that represents you right now in this moment of your life. My suggestion is this. Today, I take care of myself. Because self-care isn't a luxury, it's an act of dignity. And if you know someone, a brother, a friend, a neighbor, who might benefit from this message, share it. We never know when the right words will arrive at just the right time and make a difference. Sometimes, the most meaningful things aren't shouted. They're offered quietly like a shared glass of water. Thank you for staying until the end. Thank you for listening with an open heart. The conversation isn't over. There are more paths to take, more stories to tell, more moments to share. On screen now, you'll see 2 videos that can accompany you on this journey. Choose the one that speaks to you, or simply stay with what you're feeling right now, because that, in itself, is enough. See you soon, and until then, may every sip of water also be a sip of life.